Alright, what's good YouTube, and welcome to a WPF Season 12 Draft Analysis. Damn, we are already at 12 seasons of WPF. I'm in a lot of leagues right now that has been running for a long time, which is actually kind of cool. But yeah, this is going to be a WPF. As always, we always participate, and it's always such a grand time. Now, this time around, it was sort of a mix of what had been lately and what has been back in the day. So there were some mons that are kind of S tier, but they're not as many as there's typically been. There was no like Naganadel, no what's the other ones? The Darkrai wasn't there, stuff like that. So a couple of mons were missing, but something like Libero, Cinderace without U-turn was still there, Cure Black without Speed Boost was still there. So there's a little bit of mix of match here, which no, it's fine. It keeps the format a little bit fresh, I guess. But as always, it was like a standard net dex draft with 115 points to draft 9 to 11 mons. You know, we have, as you can see, we have 115 points. We ended up drafting 10 mons, and we had a little bit of a difference though this time around, and that was the average price was a little higher than normal. So the high-end stuff was 25 points, and we're talking like Dragapult, Urshifu, and Libero Cinderace were 25. Garchomp, Tornadoes like 24, stuff like that. So you had to pay like a high price if you wanted those one of those top tier mons. So it gave a little bit of a different aspect in terms of drafting. There was some of the mons, like I know specifically Garchomp and Tornadoes actually took quite a while before anyone picked them up, because round one they weren't picked at all, I'm pretty sure. Simply because the price was very steep, and you had to make sure you can work around with your team and whatnot. I unfortunately ended up with the 9th pick overall. You know, 9th pick is maybe the worst pick out of all of them. It's like it's up there. It's like 8, 9, maybe 7, maybe 10, something like that. It's like some of the worst picks because it's straight in the middle. So you won't get the absolute top tier parts, but you also won't get like a good combo towards the end. So you got a little bit unfortunate. And actually, there's a little bit of a story to tell here. So we originally actually got a draft where another mod, not our mod in the attack division, we are in the attack division, by the way, I forgot to mention that if you couldn't tell, you know. Another mod gave us a draft order, which, like, there's no issue with that, but we had made a plan in our division to have one of our mods, Pierre, like, do a stream to determine the draft order. And on the old order, we were 16th, which is like probably the best spot, I think. With the high pricing on mons or whatnot, I think 16 is actually the best one. So you can kind of see what's left, and you can make like a 1-2 combo real quick. But it got re-randomized, and we got 9th, so we just have to deal with it. Now, in regards to our first mon, I kind of knew what I sort of wanted and kind of knew what I didn't want. Like, I was more so zoning in on what I didn't want. I didn't want the top tier mons because, first of all, I thought the price was too high, but also I've used a lot of them and I didn't feel like using them. So having the 9th pick wasn't the worst to me. I didn't feel like, oh, I want to use Urshifu, oh, I want to use Mega Gallade, you know, stuff like that. But I ended up picking up a mon that I've actually had discussions with people about how I don't like the mon. It doesn't suit my play style, and it's not a mon I would ever draft, and yada yada yada. No, the whole spiel. And that mon is Mega Mawile. So it's going to be Maleficent, the Mega Mawile. So we're going with like a sort of Disney/Pixar character theme, like sort of cartoon theme. I don't know. I just came up with the names, and there's like a slight theme to it. But I picked up Mega Mawile. As I mentioned, it's not a mon that really suits my style. I don't like slow breakers that much. I don't like having to utilize more, like, I don't have to be like bulky and take a hit and then hit back and whatnot. But I still think Mega Mawile is a good mon. Like, I always stated that it is a good mon. It's just not my type of mon, but we might as well try it out. It's an amazing mon. Like, setups with Sword Stance, it can set stuff like if we need to. Access to Sucker Punch for priority. Does get access to Knock Off, which is really good utility. Dual Stab and Play Rough Iron Head. Get access to Thunder Punch for those scenarios. Get access to Fire Fang, stuff like that. You know, it's a really good mon, and it's really good at just breaking down teams. And then if you have a good cleaner or sweeper, you have a good offensive pairing already. But the next mon I ended up picking up was actually not an offensive pairing. It was more of a defensive pairing. So Mega Mawile is very, very known for pairing up with the Slowbro. Slowbro is one of the best mons to pair with Mega Mawile, just because defensive-wise, it covers Mega Mawile very well. You can teleport into it, stuff like that. But I didn't want to be basic. I didn't want to pick up a Slowbro. I felt that was way too, like, I could. It was available when it came back to me, but I felt like that was way too, like, oh, boring and whatnot. So I went the more base route and picked up a Slowking. I still picked up a slow brother, you know. I just went for Slowking instead. And honestly, I think Slowking is just as good of a pairing because Mawil's physical defense is not that bad. Like, it's pretty good. I think it's like above. It's actually, I can see it here. Let me see. It's 125. I didn't remember correctly. It's 125, so it's really good physically defensive. So having Slowking to take the special hits from like a flamethrower or stuff like that, it's actually not that bad. It also gives us all the same thing the Slowbro would with like teleport, trick room, stuff like that. Overall, it's just a really good mon. You can also run like a nasty pot variant because I think Slowking is slightly better than Slowbro offensively, but Slowbro as all around mon is better. I think that's kind of like, I know they have the same special attack in these Kanto/Johto forms, but I do think Slowking is a little bit better offensively just because it gets nasty pots, I believe, and Slowbro doesn't. But yeah, pretty happy about Slowking. I know it might be a little bit early, but I wanted to secure getting it. I 100% knew I wanted this to pair with my Mega Mawile. Now, the next mon is more offensive power. We needed something that can clean up for Mawile. If Mawile starts breaking down team, we need something to come in and like click one move, set up, boom, we're done. We won the game. And that mon is the incarnation of setup, basically. Como. I love me some Como. It's going to be Hercules the Como. By the way, I forgot to say this is Cusco the Slowking. Hercules the Como. I used it in WPF season, I think it was 3 or 4, and I can't remember if I got kill leader or I got like second with 1 kill off, and it was like 17 or 18 kills. I love Como. I know in modern day it's actually used more as a defensive tool, access to stealth rocks, but it still is also used like offensively. We do have access to Clangorous Soul, so we do have the multi, setup move, but also it can set up with like Dragon Dance, Belly Drum, Throat Sprayer, Totemize. You have so many opportunities to just set up. I think it even gets Sword Stance actually, if I remember correctly. It's just a cool one. It's another stealth rockets. Now we do have 2 offensive stealth rockets, which is not bad. I'm not against that. Like, having one of them have stealth rockets is not a bad thing at all. It also can just be like a choice specs, choice band. You can still do pretty well. Like, it has above base 100 in both attacking stats. It has a really good defense stat. Speed is a little bad and SpDef is a little whatever, but you know, it is what it is. We can try and make, actually SpDef is 105, never mind, it's actually pretty decent as well. Speed is the worst thing pretty much together with HP. But yeah, I love Como. I really hope I can do very well with this mon this season. I just have this near and dear love for Como, so I hope I can do so well. Now, next up, I knew I wanted, so Mawile is our physical breaker. Como is like a sweeper / mixed breaker. So I wanted a dedicated special breaker, a mon that just goes in and say, bam, I'm here. I am Thunderous. I'm Genie the Thunderous. So that is Genie after, you know, Aladdin and whatnot. I felt like this one just made completely sense, you know, Genie the... Yeah, Thunderous Therian. I opted for Thunderous Therian because I knew there was one other mon, that's actually our next pick, that had the exact same speed tier as Thunderous. Like, there was Thunderous Incarnate is 111, this mon is 112. So I was just like, let me just get Therian instead. It hits a little bit harder. You can be Choice Scarf, Choice Specs, access to knockoff, which is really nice. We do have 2 knockoff users, which I really do like that. Access to U-turn, so we have another pivoting mon together with Slowking. It hits incredibly hard with 145 special attack with Thunderbolts. It has good coverage in like Grass Knot, Flash Cannon, Sludge Wave, Dark Pulse, stuff like that. So it can do a lot of things. It can be set up with Agility or Nasty Plot. So we actually have a lot of ways to win right now already. We have Mawile, we have Como, we have Thunderous, even Slowking can win in some games. So yeah, so far I think our team offensively is amazing. Defensively, we need to work a little bit on it. But the next one, that's not going to work on defense at all. That is Kachow, the Scolipede. So I wanted Scolipede because I recently used it in a league with a lot of friends where it's very fun to play in that league, but it's not as serious. Like, and I used Scolipede and I had a lot of fun with it. So I was like, let me draft this here. I want to use it. I want to see what I can do with it, and it's amazing. It's access to spikes, and it's a really fast spike stacker. So you almost always can guarantee to get like 1 stack up because not a whole lot of mons will outspeed you. Of course, access to speed boost, so if we can like protect 1 turn, we have the +1 speed. Can also be a really good Sword Stance sweeper, or just straight up Life Orb 3 attacks or 4 attacks depending on what you need. Good move pool actually, like Mega Horn of course for stab, Poison Jab for stab, but access like Earthquake, Superpower, Aqua Tail for whatever reason. It really is just a really good mon, and I think for 10 points, I think Scolipede is one of the best worth it mons that were in the entire draft. Scolipede is something I've seen at like 12, maybe even 13 points in the league, so being 10 here, I absolutely had to cover it up. I thought this was the best value almost on the entire board. I think Scolipede is such a good mon. Now, as I mentioned, I did want to work a little bit on our defensive utility, and we already have like Slowking that can take fire moves for the more wild, stuff like that. So we needed something that can take some ground moves. And honestly, I just kind of wanted to use this mon a little bit, so I picked up Shaman. It's a really good status absorber because of natural cure, so we don't have to worry too much about being toxic or being burned. When we swap out, it removes it. Also, it's going to be named Miko, which is the raccoon from Pocahontas. I know Shaman is not a raccoon, I know it's a hedgehog, but there isn't a whole lot of hedgehogs, so I just went with Miko instead. But yeah, Shaman can also be pretty decent offense. Like base 100 across the board, so you can be really bulky. We can also hit pretty hard. And because of Seed Flare, we have a good chance. We have 40% chance to lower the SPDF with the incoming mon. So in some matchup, if our opponent doesn't have a good grass resist, I can just choose spec Shaman and I can just go in. Even if they have a mon that takes, like, let's say it takes 40%. If you get the SPDF drop, all of a sudden that mon is dead on the next turn. Of course, we have to hit. You know, we always hit those moves. You know, it just is what it is. But yeah, I think Shaman, just as a little bit of defensive backbone, can take those earthquakes that our other mons don't want to take. Also really good against, like, not necessarily other grass types, but it can stay in on a grass type that doesn't have poison moves, which, you know, most of them do have poison moves. But I feel like if we can telegraph that a poison move is going to come out, we can swap into Morwa, we can swap into Scolipede, stuff like that. So I think Shaman fits really well in the team, and I think it fits really well with our next mon in Gligar. So we have a little bit of an ice weakness now with the Como, Thunder, Shaman, and Gligar. But besides that, I actually think our defense together is really good. I think Gligar, of course, being weak to water, you can swap into Shaman. Shaman isn't too worried about his item unless you're running like a specific, like, Choice Specs, Choice Scarf, whatever. But like, it can live without leftovers, because if you're running Synthesis or even Lead Seed, you have a way to recover still. So I'm not too worried about being knockoff. Morwa is also really good to swap in on a knockoff. A Como in some scenarios can be pretty good. Scolipede, if I don't need the item on Scolipede anymore, let's say it was like a life orb to break, and then I swapped it out, I can swap it in, it's not too important. But yeah, I feel like we do protect Gligar, especially also with some of our last mons. I do think we protect Gligar fairly well on the team. And Gligar is just really, really good. Like, it's U-turn, it's knockoff, it's Earthquake, it's Defog, it's Stealth Rocks. It does so much. It's immunity, so we aren't afraid of poison. We are a little bit Will-O-Wisp weak so far, but Slowking doesn't really care. Thunders doesn't really care unless you run physical, which, I mean, I might do in like one game maybe. Shaman doesn't care, so I do think we can still ward off a good amount of Will-O-Wisps should it come our way. But even then, if Gligar gets Will-O-Wisp, like, who actually cares? It's not here to do damage, it's here to come in, U-turn, knock off, set up rocks, maybe defog, maybe roost, whatever, you know. Gligar, it's gonna be Snooty, which is one of the experiments in Lilo and Stitch. I just felt, like, look it up, look up Lilo and Stitch, Snooty, I felt like that fits so well. I felt like that was just Gligar incarnate almost. Now, the next two mons, I knew I wanted a normal type and a dark type, right? And no, it's not obstacle, I'm not putting both in one mon. But I knew I wanted those two, but I didn't know if I wanted a bulky dark or an offensive dark or an offensive normal and bulky normal, whatever. But there was one mon on the board that I've never used before and I thought about using before that I was actually kind of excited about trying. So I just said, you know what? Let me just pick it up. And that is Porygon Z. It's going to be Wally, the Porygon Z. And I'm telling you, if your opponent doesn't have a good Steel type or a Ghost type, you can just Choice Specs Tri Attack with adaptability and this thing will just go in. It hits so incredibly hard. It helps Thunders break on the special side, so we have more breaking on physical side. We have Thunders and Porygon on the special side. Even Shaman to some extent. Como can be physical as well. So I'm pretty confident in our breaking power with this team. I think the defensive backbone could maybe use a little bit, but overall I think we're pretty good off so far. And I'm just really excited about using Porygon Z. It's such an interesting mon because it's like Porygon 2 is just almost better in every way, but Porygon Z is just fun. Again, it can also use Agility Nasty Belt to set up. It can be a Trick Room setter, so now we technically have a second Trick Room setter for our Morwa, because Slowking of course gets Trick Room, but I don't know if I'm running Trick Room PC, I don't know, maybe. If our opponent has like several mons above base 100, yeah, we might do it, but I just thought Porygon Z would be such a fun mon to draft. And because I drafted an offensive normal type, I went for Umbreon for our dark type. So this is the mon I think pairs very well with Gligar. It doesn't care about getting knocked off. Like, yeah, leftovers are nice, but realistically you're just gonna run Wish, Protect, Move, you know, Wish, Protect, Move. That is Umbreon incarnate. One of the moves are probably gonna be Foul Play. It's just here to be fat. It's gonna be Cheshire. I know it's not a cat, but I still think Cheshire was the closest thing I could find to an Umbreon name. So I think Umbreon just fits very well on the team. passing off the wishes into some of our mons. Even a lot of our offensive mons actually has semi-decent bulk in Morwile and Como, and even PC a little bit, and Thunderous is not like super frail. It's frail, but it's not super frail. So we can even pass wishes into those, so we can get some offensive momentum. I feel like this works very well. We can baton pass on Umbreon as well. Though we have to remember we cannot baton pass like a Calm Mind, even though I don't think Umbreon got Calm Mind. I feel like I would have seen that before. But yeah, I think Umbreon just fit very well on the team. I think it was just, you know, the fatness we kind of needed, you know. I picked it up because it was there. It was for 9 points and we had the point. I will see how it does. And lastly, we had 6 points left and I wanted a little bit more speed. We had Scolipede, which tops at 112, right? And even then, it's going to run speed boost a lot. So my opponent might just like legitimately ignore it and just say, I'm going to creep with the next one, which would be Thunderous. So I wanted another mon that would sort of have some good speed that our opponent has to think about. And that is Frostlass. Frozone to Frostlass. I know Frostlass can only be female, but tell me this isn't Frozone. I could have gone Frozen, I guess. Like for the movie Frozen or Elsa or something. But I just feel like Frozone is so much funnier. Honey, where's my super suit? I know that's not his voice at all, but you know, it is what it is. Yeah. Frostlass can Spikes, can Will-O-Wisp, can Destiny Bond, access to Poltergeist / Shadow Ball or Triple Axle / Ice Beam. It has the same offensive attack stats in 80 in both of them, which is pretty weak overall, but it's just a good utility mon. It's not gonna be here for like a lot of matches. It might come for like 3 matches maybe or something like that. And it's just, it can be a spike stacker if I don't feel like Scolipede has a good matchup. It can overall just be a nuisance to opponent. It's also really good at just threatening out like Gliscor, Landorus, you know, the ground flying types that are in the format, or if your opponent just in general is pretty ice weak. We didn't have an ice or a ghost type, so I just feel like having that offensively just helps our team a little bit. So yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy about the team. The point left is not correct. It's supposed to be 0. We are at 0. I don't know why it says 1. Yeah, there, it's changed. So our full team, the Copenhagen Gala, is going to be Mega Mobile, Slowking, Como, Thunderous, Therian, Scolipede, Shaman, Gligar, Porygon Z, Umbreon, and Frostlass. I'm pretty happy about the team. I don't think it's the best team ever. Like, there definitely is a lot of flaws on the team. The pivoting could be slightly better. We have Slowking, Thundy, Gligar, and like, I guess you want to count Teleport, PC, and then Baton Pass, Umbreon. Our breaking power is like fine. I think that's actually probably the best thing about the team. It's pretty decently offensive. Like Morwile can do a lot of carrying on that part. Como is a good sweeper. Thunderous can break. PC can break. Scolipede is actually not that bad of a breaker either. So I'm pretty happy about that. But I do think it's going to be one of those where I really need to make sure that I don't play too passive with this team. Because if I play too passive, I'm just going to get ran over. I don't have the defensive utility and defensive powers to just sit there. I have to make sure I'm playing somewhat aggressive. So it's a little bit out of my style, but overall, I'm happy with the team. As always, if you liked the video, make sure to leave a like on the video, leave a comment down below what you thought of the team, and subscribe for future videos. I will now head out, so peace, YouTube.